And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience podcast hour now. This is your host, Chris. We got my boy, Jesse. What's up, dude?
What up? How's it going, guys?
Pretty pumped right now. We have another special guest. We have Kevin, the drummer of the Acacia strain. What's up, dude?
What's up? I'm special, apparently. That's nice.
You're always special to our hearts. You know, keep pumping out 8 records. That's what happens.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's an honor to have you on the show. You guys, like I said, have your 8th record. You guys just dropped it on July 22nd, Slow Decay. Yeah, dude, this is a very, very unique album in the sense of how you guys released it.
Yeah.
Can you, like, dive into that whole, like, the method, like the marketing kind of side of it?
Well, we kind of figured out over the last few years or so, I'd say, music, the industry is just constantly changing. So we really wanted to, this is really all Vincent's brainchild, but I'll keep referring it to as we. But he we really needed to do something to keep people interested. So the way we release this is kind of paying homage to how things used to be. Say 15, 20 years ago, you'd go to a record store. You know, this is before social media, before the internet being able to advertise for shows or advertise bands whatsoever. You'd go to your local record store and they'd have their little 7-inch section where hardcore metal bands would be putting out little 7 inches, you know, once or twice a month, just 1 or 2 songs on them, just to keep people, you know, keep reminding people that they're still around, that they're still doing stuff. And then attached to that, you know, little 7-inch single would be a piece of paper that they hand wrote and then went and Xerox copied at Office Max, you know, 100 copies of it to staple to their things with like all the shows written on it and all their contact info. But basically we just really wanted to think of a way to keep everybody interested and not just put out one song and then have everybody wait 6 months for the actual record to come out. Like it's kind of how it's been for a little while. So yeah, we kind of wanted to stay ahead of the game in a way, maybe try to not intentionally change it, but it seems like some other bands have latched onto this idea. I've seen a couple start to do it this way. You know, you really got to keep ahead of the game, keep everybody interested as best as you can.
Yeah, like nowadays you do have to like try a different approach to reach fans because we all say it, and we talked about it a lot on the podcast too. Like attention spans are so short now. We were talking to Paul Bearer. They said like usually like they like doing that 30-minute kind of album. They do anything longer than that, they feel like it trails off, you know, for some fans. And the way you guys put this out, I think it was really cool, and I think it did grab a lot. Like you guys did really well on your first week sales. I'm not even I don't know the number, but I remember seeing it high on the charts.
Yeah, it was we did equivalent sales were just over 12,000, so that's the highest we've ever had as a band in our career. We were number 5 on the top album sales chart, which I mean it was us, Taylor Swift, Logic, and then a couple other rappers I've never even heard of before.
That's a huge compliment then.
Yeah, it was very wild to see, you know, a Billboard tweet, you know, top 5 albums this week. You know, Taylor Swift, Logic, 2 rappers I don't know, and then Acacia strain. It was like, so it's just mind blowing, and the fact that, you know, it happened right now during the current climate this world is in, where
this is rough for everyone right now.
Yeah, the world's falling apart, and we somehow managed to get you know, landing on the top 100 for Billboard, and then, you know, number 1 rock, number 1 hard rock, 5, you know, top album sales. Like, it was just very mind blowing. It's still not even really fully sunken in for me.
And joining like Acacia strain, did you like think like you would ever be like top 5 of the Billboard?
Oh, absolutely not. No, never. I mean, when I joined this band almost 16 years ago now, I was, you know, I was just excited to be away from my hometown for a weekend or like a week get to play music. But then now it's,
I think
it's pretty surreal.
Jesse, didn't you tell me that every time I die, he started a band just to get free beer at shows?
Basically. Yeah, dude, there's like how many bands start that way? It's like, yeah, it's just an easy way to get chicks. I just wanted to not be home. Like, you know, and then all of a sudden it's just like, you know, you're next to Taylor. You know what I'd like to see, though, is the face of people who check you guys out after buying Taylor Swift or Logic, they're like, oh, that's interesting. What's the Acacia string? And
yeah,
they hear,
because that's how a lot of people listen to the music. I mean, that's the reason why there's like, top 40 and stuff like that. It's because there's people that sit there and they search out new music that way. They search for the music that, everybody's listening to. So some poor little girl saw that tweet and was like, oh, what's this band next to Taylor Swift on Billboard? Let's check it out. Next thing you know, she's having nightmares.
What's Crossgates? it's like holy shit.
Album art is really it gives off a different vibe, you know what I mean? The album art's very nice looking.
What's a slow decay? It starts beautiful and then you get into the CD.
Yeah.
So it's misleading if you don't know anything about it.
Right. Well, that's I don't know if you guys, obviously when all the 7 inches were released, all of those, make one big piece of art. But also like when if you get the full length vinyl or the actual CD, it opens up all the way, so you still get that whole artwork.
Awesome.
But yeah, it starts out like the main cover is like the cover of D, where it's all pretty, and then you open it and everything is just dying, falling apart. Which it's really weird and so very coincidental that we had decided to put out a record right now where like the world is actually slowly decaying around us. It's pretty silly. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting though? It's like it's interesting that there's some bands like you guys are veterans, right? You guys have been around a very long time. And I feel like after listening to this record, like it might be my favorite, honestly. Like it's kind of crazy to put out possibly your best record this late in the game. Usually people say like, oh, it's your middle or kind of the beginning. People like, and then they like the career, but it's like to keep getting better and to keep changing and kind of combining your sounds is kind of amazing. Like, did you guys change anything in the writing process, or did you guys just keep sharpening the knife and just getting better with age?
I'd say honestly for us, I mean, a lot of bands, if you guys know, you've seen many lineups of the Acacia strain. I mean, it's been me and Vincent for, since I've been in the band. Obviously, it's been me and him now for 16 years. The band's going on 20 years total, but it's been me and him the longest, and through all of these years, we've had quite a few changes.
Yeah.
So, it was me and DL doing a lot of the writing for every record that he was a part of. And then once he left, it was Richie and Devin for Coma Witch. So those two mixed with me was a whole different vibe. So, they still tried to capture what we had done in the past, but they were throwing their own little spiciness on it, And then with Grave Bloom, Richie had left the band in between Grave Bloom and Coma Witch. And then we had Griffin, our new bass player, that replaced Jack. So he was a whole nother new brain to get thrown into the mix for the writing process. So ever since like DL was, when he left the band, like every record, like the writing process has changed since. So Coma Witch was a completely different process from Grave Bloom, and then from It Comes in Waves, and then Slow Decay. And if you notice, since Tom Smith's been in the band, that kid has thrown in an immense, amazing, positive influence on our writing. So for us, we're fortunate that all these lineup changes have worked in our favor big time. There's a lot of bands that they just try too hard to sound like themselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've always, we sound like ourselves, but we don't with every record, if you get what I'm saying. Like always try, you have to constantly evolve no matter what, whether it's the same members you've had for 20 years or if you get a new one every 3 years. Like you have to keep switching it up somehow. And then, I think with me being a staple that's been in the band for a long time, like my imprint on the music is there. Vincent's is obviously there because he does contribute a lot. I know a lot of singers out there that just write lyrics and they just sit back and let everybody else do their thing. But
they go along for the ride.
Yeah, there's quite a few riffs and like heavier parts that Vincent would kind of just be like, would just like make like a voice memo or just mouth it out, and then Tom, Griffin, or Devin or somebody would, try to figure out how to interpret it properly onto the guitar.
That's awesome. That's what I do.
So,
I can't play guitar, so I just kind of hum at people like, "Yo, dude, do this." I can't understand you. All right.
Yeah. I think some of like the heavier parts this band has over the past few records has been Vincent just like mouthing stuff out and us figuring it out, like bringing it to life, and him being like, that's it. Basically what I was thinking.
Around in the ballpark. Well, that's like interesting though, because you say that. It's because I thought was it like It Comes in Waves was the one right before this, correct? Right? Yeah, It Comes in Waves. I thought that sounded completely different. Like it was still like sound really heavy, but that was like very doomy. It was like had a lot of like different things where I was like, damn. And it was
very slow paced.
I listened to that in 5 in the morning on my bus ride to work. I was just sitting there with my eyes wide open. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
It's like I feel like it's either going to really wake you up in the morning or it's going to knock you right back out.
Yeah.
Was there a certain band that kind of inspired that, or like a certain mood you guys are in that made that?
Well, that whole thing was meant to just be straight up an experiment for us. Since, on Coma, which we had Observer, another 30-minute long song. So we knew we were capable of doing something like that again.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to just write, a straight up 30-minute long, doom song that was just, the same pace the whole time. But it was, we had this idea where we just really wanted to do something different. It was always like whenever the way we were going to release it, no matter what, it was always just going to be a surprise. Just gonna be like, all right, here you guys go. Like,
it was great. It was a great morning. I looked, I was like, are you shitting me? Like, I think I forgot what I had. It was like, new Acacia strain album. I was like, what?
Yeah, day after Christmas, just a little late Christmas present for everybody. Well, we were hoping it would be a present, and thankfully people did receive it well. But that was another thing, when you go out on a limb like that and you do something completely experimental and not, what you would normally do, it's kind of scary for a second because you don't know whether people are gonna take you seriously or kind of just look over it. But we it went over well. Like our main fan base, everybody seemed to like it, and we started latching some other fans of like other music, like other heavier music. So hopefully someday we'll be able to play it live somehow in some fashion if the world ever gets back to normal. But
that would be awesome. But I also I don't know how it is for like such a heavy and aggressive band like you guys, but I always like advocate for, even though it's kind of not like for the scene, but like evening with shows. Like, I don't know how much it takes out, especially screamers. I don't know how much it takes out of their body to like play those things, where I was like, play one set, the whole album, and then and then you just rip out some classics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if the vocalist knows what they're doing properly, they won't lose their voice.
Yeah.
Because it's like almost none of it's coming from the throat. It's mostly coming straight from your diaphragm. So,
the key term.
The diaphragm. The key term there.
Yeah. Every time I see like those vocal training videos or whatever, Melissa Cross or anything like that, it's always like the diaphragm. I remember like when we were younger, we were looking up how to like do pig squeals and stuff like that, and they always talk about the diaphragm. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's honestly, it's really not that much throat in there, so you're not damaging too much. But honestly, I guess the only way to find out would be to actually do something like that, like do like an evening with type show and see how that went, kind of as an experiment in itself. Just throw a whole experiment around that whole record, try to play it all in its entirety, and then go backstage for a couple minutes, come back out and play like a hit set, see how that goes. But everybody in the band now, we're all trying to stay in shape since we're getting older, so maybe it's possible. Yeah, I can't just sit home 2-3 months between a tour now on my couch playing video games and expect to be able to rip without hurting myself for 4 weeks straight. So got to stay in shape. Like yesterday, for instance, I went and played my drums for the first time in quite a while, like a little over a month, and it hurt. But I've also been keeping myself in shape otherwise. But I know if I wasn't like doing my daily workouts and keeping myself moving, like I would have probably called it quits half hour into playing yesterday, because it was like, oof. I mean, it was rough, but it was great at the same time. I was feeling good. So it's funny getting older, man. We gotta we got to keep ourselves in shape so we don't pull a hammy while trying to play a show.
Well, you say, was it like general fatigue? Because like I play drums and I've like occasionally I've like had some like hand issues, or is it just kind of like general fatigue, or do you actually have like any kind of issues that linger when you play drums?
No,
that you have to warm up
I don't really. I don't really have any lingering issues. Mostly, it's just nowadays. Like I used to never warm up before shows. I used to like going in cold.
Yeah.
But now, you know, with getting older, like I'll just sit back there and I'll just have a practice pad. I'll just keep doing random, just whatever band's playing before us. Like I'll just like play along with whatever their beat are. Just throw in a bunch of random like little biddles here and there on the pad, and just constantly keep my feet kicking, just getting blood flowing through my legs. Do a couple stretches here and there, because one thing that had gotten worse over the years was like my hands when they would cramp. I know you know this since you play drums, and when you get those cramping in your hands. Yeah. And they just want to start opening up on you, and you have to keep trying to squeeze it. Yeah, you have to keep trying to squeeze them tighter, and then your hands are sweating, so then they're getting slippery. So you're trying to fight your hands opening. Yeah. You're trying to squeeze as hard as you can, but then you can't even grip your drumstick, and then they start flying everywhere. Everybody's turning around looking at you like, "What is going on, man?"
So fuck that entire situation.
What's that?
Is that why some drummers wear gloves? Like I see, I think.
Yeah, I know Hosian wears draw. I've seen him wearing gloves recently. Hosian from Fit for an Autopsy. That kid's a fucking monster.
I was thinking of the Slayer drummer, which I'm totally forgetting.
Paul Bostaff?
Yeah. I was like, not Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a decent guy. Well, yeah, Chris Adler. Actually, both Lamb of God drummers, Chris Adler and Art, both played with gloves. Yeah, dude, it might be the move. I was always lazy. I didn't want to bring equipment because like I heard one drummer a long time ago. He's like, "Yeah, I need my equipment." I'm like, I kind of want to be able just to sit on the kit. Like I don't play with shoes, and I just like kind of go on. But also, I sit at home, so I guess what do I know? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess to be fair, I'm just like, my friend's like, "Yeah, you should wear gloves." I'm like, if I forget them, I don't want to like just rip my hands apart, you know?
Yeah, no. See, I years ago tried using gloves. I think it was because I saw Vinnie Paul wearing gloves. So I was like, I'm gonna get a pair of those, Newman football gloves and see if they how they feel when you play. And it's just not the same. Like, I just, I got to have that feel of the stick in my hand.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially when you get past like that beginning. Like when I first started playing drums, it was like impossible to hold onto the sticks. You get used to being sweaty.
Oh yeah.
You just randomly get used to it. It's kind of weird. Oof.
Yesterday, just from playing, I had this one is brutal. It's like a whole like a cavern in my finger. And this guy. But just like a half hour in yesterday, these things formed, and then just blood all over my drums, and so it's brutal being a drummer sometimes. If you take that time off, your skin just loses that the calluses pretty quick.
It's not fun, especially because like extreme metal. I know like other genres have to deal with this in a certain way. Like they don't no other genre plays fast, but like extreme metal, it's like especially when your band revolves around being fast. And you like get a little sweaty, you'll just rip your hands apart. Brutal. You're like, you get the super glue. I've seen like so many studio updates where like the drummer's just super gluing his skin back on, like it's almost like a boxer or something. Like I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I luckily have never had to do that. Because I'll just, if I ever get like a blister, like even if it doesn't pop, like you just got to get rid of it as soon as you can. Just pop it, take that skin, like keep the skin on as long as you can so it heals underneath. Yeah. And just let it naturally fall off. Just cover it up with tape or something while you're playing, so you're not, so it's not killing you the whole time. Because it does not feel good when you're playing with a stick rubbing against new skin the whole time.
Fuck that noise. Yeah, it's gross too. It's also just gross. You look at your hands like, what happened? I look like an animal. Like,
yeah, and your sticks are all covered and like they're all sticky from pus, and it's just disgusting.
And there's one kid in the audience, give it to me, I'll lick it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no. Damn. Well, not nowadays. I don't even know if I want to be able to give sticks out to people. Like, sorry.
Yeah, that'd be brutal.
Spray down with Lysol first.
Yeah, right before you throw a stick, just wipe it off.
You have a Purell thing attached to a cymbal stand. You just like rub it down, just throw it.
Yeah.
Also, people just like, actually, I always because I've been listening to you guys for a long time. I always thought you were one of the best drummers in the scene. Like, where did you get your start? Were you just a drummer that played with songs when you first started, or were you because it seems like you were pretty technical. Like you might have done a lot of practicing the technical aspect of drumming, not just playing songs.
See, for me, my father played drums.
Yeah.
So any band he was ever in, and I know you know this, if you're the drummer in the band and you have space in your house to practice, everyone comes and practices at the drummer's house, because fuck moving your drums every.
It's awful.
Like no.
That's all we did.
Plus, when you're a drummer too, you don't want your drum sitting in someone else's basement forever. Like, you don't want to have to be on their mercy to be able to play your drums. So, yeah, I grew up, always watching my dad practice and stuff like that. So when I was 4 years old, he gave me my first drum kit, because I latched onto it pretty quick. And then he just basically showed me a few pointers, and then my dad was also a metalhead, so we had all sorts of different bands, records that I was listening to, like Queensryche, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, King Diamond.
Nice.
But he was, a huge metalhead but Rush was his favorite band. So I had, we had every Rush record at the time that was out, the Exit Stage Left live video. So I would sit there and set up like pots and pans in the living room and watch and try to like mimic all the songs and play that way. Same thing with like Live After Death for the Iron Maiden live video. And that was always fun, trying to recreate Nico McBrain's, 85 million piece drum kit that he has. So basically, yeah, I learned from watching and listening to my favorite drummers, basically. So I used to have a little cassette Walkman, and I would pop the headphones on and listen to, favorite records of mine. Mostly back then it was Rush. So I guess you can contribute there's quite a bit of Neil Peart in my drumming, even though it's not too apparent, but the way I approach certain things is, like, I'm thinking of him when I'm approaching certain parts and certain ways to segue into stuff. And he's considered one of the greatest drummers in the world. He is obviously very technical. He was very precise in everything that he did, and that's another thing that I try to be as precise as possible. I also stole the like the stone face, like concentrating look when I'm playing from him. He almost looks like he's bored when he's playing.
Yeah,
he's so like concentrated and like locked into what he's doing. And I always just thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, this guy is so goddamn good that he's just like locked in and just.
He's just there for work. He's just like, don't look at me. I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, it's like, yeah, don't look at me. I'm sitting here doing this better than you. I'm just, but yeah, no. And then as I got older, when I started discovering, more extreme, heavier bands, I'll never forget. Like yesterday, I don't know if you guys follow me on social media at all, but I just Painkiller by Judas Priest has been one of my favorite records forever, because I'll never forget that day sitting in my house, and my uncle Kevin comes by and shows my dad. He came over with the cassette for Painkiller, and he was like, "You have to listen to the beginning of this record." And and the Scott Travis just fucking going off, like with his double kicks and everything. Yeah. So I remember hearing that for the first time and just being like, whoa. And that was like my first taste of like real double bass. So I was like, this is different. This is really cool. So then, not long after that, I discovered, Pantera and Slayer and Dying Fetus, other heavier, yeah.
It just
gradually
keeps
getting
going down.
heavier.
It goes down the hole.
Yeah, just getting heavier and heavier. I'm just, I would get Modern Drummer magazine and then just like try to find what drummers they were talking about there that were like the fastest or the most extreme. And then that's how I would find these different bands. And I'll never forget too, like the reason I found out Dying Fetus was because of Modern Drummer magazine, because they were talking about extreme metal, and there was a picture of Kevin Talley playing in like a VFW hall on this like giant Tama kit. And so I listened to Dying Fetus, and I was like, okay, that's really, really fast. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But then eventually I ended up getting this like really shitty, like I think when they were brand new when they came out, it was like $80 pair of like Pacific double pedals. Oh, and these things weighed like 2 pounds. Like they were just like the cheapest metal ever you could possibly do to make make pedals out of. And then pretty much what I listened to get, my feet going was I would play along with Rain and Blood.
Oh, that's
I'd play along with pretty much the whole record, as much as I could anyway. So like Dave Lombardo, I'd say basically taught me how to play double kick.
It's not a bad guy to learn from.
Yeah,
really.
I heard one drummer kind of say that it was actually, he's not really like known as a double bass. You know Thomas Pridgeon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said like he was teaching some lesson. He kind of mentioned like if some kid came to me and said I want to learn double bass, well, we're gonna sit there and I'm gonna have you play Rain in Blood 4 times in a row, and then come back tomorrow and you're just gonna keep playing Rain in Blood until you can play double bass. I was like, it's actually not a bad way to go. Like you're just kind of thrown into the kettle.
It's honestly, like that song, like that speed on the record, like it's like once you get into playing double kick, you realize like, yeah, it's fast, but it's also at this perfect tempo where it's like easily sustainable. And like once you get your endurance built up, you can, that's like a perfect speed right there, especially for someone that's trying to learn how to, play fast.
It's a nice bridge
stay
too.
Fast.
Because like you build up to it, and then it's like, okay, now the next hurdle is, can I play like one of these extreme death metal bands that just go hard in the paint, like faster than that, but for 4 minutes straight? It's like. Because there was at least a break in Rain and Blood. Like, when you get to that hi-hat part, and like I remember I was a kid, I tried to play it. I was like, oh my God, thank God. Oh my God, I'm here. All right. And then you just like hold your breath and go back into the double bass, like Jesus Christ. Like,
Yep, definitely. But then and then went from the more straightforward metal to discovering more technical groovier bands. Like mainly for me, it was Meshuggah. I remember seeing them at Ozfest in like 2001 or 2002, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, first, like just like sitting there like as a kid, like I've been playing music for most of my life at that point, so I can almost find the rhythm and like keep my head going to the beat of almost anything, or just almost anticipate what the beat's going to be. And I'm sitting there trying to air drum along to this thing, and I'm just like, what is this guy doing back there? Like, how is he placing these hits? Like, what is he fucking counting to? So then that was my discovery of like, odd time signatures and stuff like that. So then trying to learn and play along with that stuff, it still blows my mind sometimes, because I'm not really a counter when I play. Everything's off of feel.
Yeah.
So trying to play along with some of that stuff still to this day is, I could do some of it, but there's a lot of it I'm just like, I can't even like bother trying. But I'd say my style in itself is it's a culmination of just, it's a little piece of every drummer that I'm a big fan of. I never took proper lessons, never learned how to read music. I just would latch on to something that I loved listening to, and then would keep playing it until I learned how to play it, and then just kind of mash that all together into, I guess, my style.
Well, now that you said that, it kind of does make sense, because like I guess the danger is some kids, like they'll do the same thing you did, but then like they won't take the right lessons from the drummer. It seems like I guess you're just really skilled. It just shows that you were very intelligent in the way you took pieces from each drummer. Because when you see like some of the things, like I remember when I think that I originally listened to you guys during Continent, and I was like, just some of the drum parts, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Because it's almost like a lot of bands in the genre, it's like, it's really heavy and it's not really meant to be too technical, right? But there was like little things you were doing where you're like almost Meshuggah type, where it'd be like, all right, this is a pretty simple. And then there would just be a little curveball where you're like, motherfucker, you got to take a second. I got to learn. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And it was awesome. And I just always wanted to ask you that, because I was like, again, one of my favorite drummers in the scene. And I was like, yeah, this guy's a little different. I was always curious about that. And it does show influences.
Yeah, I just took a little piece of everybody and made one big weird puzzle with it.
So speaking about like slow decay, is there anything you tried differently on this album, like with drums at all, or you just went with feel?
I basically, for this record, this is the first record where I did drums last, which was nice. All the guitars and everything was done first. Like, so everybody went to Griffin, our bass player's studio in Des Moines, Iowa. We didn't have a full record yet, and so we all went out there. We all had like little skeletons of things, riffs here and there. And Randy LaBeouf, that produced the record, he came out also. And we all just basically sat there for a couple weeks, and it was like crunch time, where we just put everything together that we had, wrote a couple extra songs, and then I sat there with Randy, and we programmed drums, basically what I would play. So we sat at the computer, and he would just sit there at the helm with his hands on the keyboard, and the riff would be going, and I'd be like, and him and I, we both had a very similar brain about how, going through songs like with feel and stuff like that. So we were very much on the same page, kind of, exactly what direction that we wanted to go with different parts. And I would like air drum something, and he would, he's like a wizard with programming drums. So like what I was saying to him, like he's like programming as the song's going, and then he like, he's just dot after dot after dot on this grid, and then all of a sudden he hits the space bar and he plays it, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Yep, that's pretty much exactly what that's what I was gonna do. So it was kind of cool too, where I was able to have these songs for a good while before I actually went to track. So I was able to iron out a lot of parts, and I was able to be more prepared. And there's every record where like, well, it'll be done. I listen to it and I'm like, shit, I could have done something different here.
Yeah.
I could have like segued different here. Like I did too many of these, like the same, like, triggers that go into, or like a cue that goes into another part. Like I could have done something different, whatever. But with this time, like all of those thoughts I had, I was able to do this time, which was nice. So I would say that next record we do, which Randy's stuck with us forever now, as long as our career is going to be a career, he's going to be producing us forever.
Oh, nice.
So I'm always going to want to do all my drums last. So I'm going to have that time to be able to approach everything, let everything sink in and soak it all up, and then come at it, a lot more aggressive, and not just try to get everything. When you're the drummer and you have to do everything first, you almost feel sometimes like you're being rushed, like
because
everybody's waiting.
Standard, right?
Yeah, it's always drums first, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm sitting there, you got to get it done, because the guys doing guitars need another 3.5 weeks to do all their stuff, while you're being not forced, but you're under pressure to get it done like as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So it was nice not having that like weight on my shoulders to finish and just get it over with.
When you play live, do you ever like you said, like sometimes you want to change up certain parts? Like when you play live, do you ever like change it up a little bit?
There's some things I do, but like little things here and there that are different, but nothing like super drastic.
You change the song too much?
Yeah, well, plus too, I don't want to throw anybody else off if they've been hearing it for so long in a certain way. But we're all so locked in that like I know even if I did do something like a little different, it wouldn't really, it's not going to be so detrimental that they'd get so confused they'd have to stop playing or something.
Yeah.
Restart the song. Kevin messed it up.
I mean, that has happened in the past. Thankfully, it hasn't happened for many years, but that's the worst when that happens. But yeah, no, playing live, I don't do anything super crazy. And if I do, it's something that like I've rehearsed and I know it's going to be okay. I'm not, I don't practice enough when I'm home to just be able to, just improv like different fills the whole set.
Yeah.
Plus the way I am when it comes to like my approach to music and listening to music, like specifically when I go see a band play, unless the guy is known for being some big improv wizard, like the way I hear this guy playing something on a record, that's how I want to hear it when I see it live. Like I want to see him go through the motions and play that fill that I love the way I hear it on the record.
Yep.
Which when a lot of guys, when you go see certain bands that, they're not, yeah, I get it. You're talented. You're really good at what you're doing. But at the same time, like, I'm not here to watch you fucking jerk off on your drums the whole time. I want to see the music that I fell in love with being played. I don't want to see you showing off. So
yeah.
Well, that's what some drummers like. I know some drummers that do like do improv live a little bit. It seems like a lot of the idea behind that is to like the good ones, anyways. Usually stick with the iconic parts. Like you wouldn't just solo over "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins and just rip a fucking 16. It's like, wait, no, Where is it? It's like the most iconic fill of all time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like you said, like the little stuff, and then the main parts, obviously. And yeah, I've seen both ways. Like one where it's like, it's like really awesome. The other way, you're like, the fuck? All right. They usually drop a stick and they just frown when no one notices. You're like, oh, no one cares. It's like,
yeah.
Just one dude with drumsticks in the back just waving. Dude, that was awesome, I guess. Like, no one really plays drums here.
Yeah. But it's another thing, too. It's like when you're a drummer in a crowd watching, like, I know that's who I'm watching when,
Yeah.
Especially when I come to fall in love with a band, it's always the drummer first. Like the drummer and the drums are what's going to lock. It's going to suck me in. It doesn't have to be the most crazy technical thing. It's when a drummer knows how to play to their band. You know, like even for instance, like a band like Jimmy Eat World. Like there's nothing crazy, super technical about that band. There's nothing like incredibly impressive about them.
Yeah.
But I can't even tell you that dude's name. But he's like, he just knows how to play to that music just so perfectly.
Yeah, he doesn't run it over.
Right, and then look at someone like Dave Grohl, where you can literally put him behind a drum kit for anybody, and he knows how to make that band sound fucking awesome. Like, if you don't have a good drummer, you don't have a good band, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough too, because that's why I always like, being in like the metal, like hardcore scene. There's a lot of, like, especially the metal kids really care about technicality. And like especially my friends who are like not drummers, when they're like, dude, that's a little too boring. I'm like, but it's good for the song. Like, why would you want me to rip across all your guitar work? Like, it makes no sense. Like, it's cool when done right, but sometimes it's like, it's whatever.
Yeah. If you're an instrumental band that's not going to have any vocals going over it also, where like the whole point of view is to just be as insane and impressive as possible, sure, go ahead. But if you want people to like actually be interested in like, not get lost in the sauce, basically, like you have to be simple to a point. Like you have to cater to your fans, and the people that are going to be listening.
All right, so we'll dive back in this, and
all right,
this one's a little bit like, it's not really related to the band, but I thought it was pretty interesting how like the touring situation is right now, especially with festivals kind of being like no one wants to do them and stuff like that. Do you see like Mayhem Fest, Ozfest, Warped Tour, like those type of festivals ever returning?
I don't see them being cross country 2.5 month long tours anymore. No.
Yeah,
I
that's
definitely
what I was thinking
see.
Too.
I mean, I know through the grapevine that like Knotfest was going to eventually try to be like the be all end all festival for the summer for like a wide span of music.
Yeah.
So I think it was going to try to be like a month long thing where like it was in a city for like a couple days. So it was like you get your heavier and then like, your heavier crowd and then like your Warped Tour-y kind of indie crowd, for another day. But now with obviously everything just changes year to year, everything changes so much. And now with COVID going on, it's like the whole live music industry, like live performing arts in general industry is just going to be, everything is going to be changing even more now. So if anybody that had plans of doing something like that now, I feel like they got to throw it all out and they got to start from scratch again and try to see what they're going to do.
Because go ahead.
Maybe 5 years from now, once everything is, back to the way it was 6 months ago, maybe something like that'll happen again. But there's so much that needs to recover, and so there's venues and entire production companies from cities that are just, a lot of them are very close to just being done forever. Yeah. So it's hopefully it doesn't get to the point where it's just one big monopolized mess. Hopefully we can keep a lot of these privately owned production companies and promoters that, we've worked with for so long that we know it's like when we show up to a certain place, we know like, all right, Rick is going to be the promoter tonight, and then like Tom, Steve, and Bob are going to be the loaders that we see every time we played for the last 10 years. A lot of that kind of stuff's going to be gone, which is really sad. But who knows? It's all such a mystery right now. What's going to happen?
Yes,
I think pandemic aside, I think those touring festivals, they all just seem to always fall apart. Maybe because it just seems like it's too expensive to have a festival that size and move around. And then also people just don't want to pay like those ticket prices, which sucks because I've had some fantastic times seeing you guys at Warped Tour, going to Mayhem Fest and seeing all these bands together. But just turns out apparently lugging 17 stages across country is not very it's not good for the bank apparently.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, and then you hear about how much. I mean, like it's like a tour like Warped Tour, man. You got like 70 plus bands. All those, I mean, a handful of those bands are literally, they're like donating their time to play. Yep. Like they'll get a week on the tour, but they're doing the catering line every day, so they can play 15 minutes on like the Ernie Ball stage.
Yeah,
which like kudos to them, especially like if they're riding around in a van too. Like, ugh, no way. That would just be hell. But yeah, then you got bands, getting paid anywhere from $500 up to some bands that we've heard of getting paid $50,000 to play per day. And it's like, wow. It's like, where the fuck is this money coming from?
Yeah,
like you gotta pay.
Crazy.
Like you got your 70 plus bands. You have literally, you have like production for every stage. There's 13 stages or something like that. You got production for each stage, stage hands for each stage. You have crews that come in just to build the stages, and then they go home, and then they like go sit on the bus all day, and then they come back and break the stage down. And then it's just like, and then you're hiring all these local crews to help out every day, and it's just like, it's unfathomable like how much money every single day we would go through there. And then you think about the tens of thousands of people that are there every day paying $40 to $50 to $60 to $100 a ticket, depending on which VIP package you wanted to buy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know if I suck at business, but that shit always confused me. I walked into Warped Tour like the last couple of years. I was like, I have no fucking idea how this works. Like, how do you control this?
Yeah. And it's literally, it's like Kevin Lyman. He's like fucking Superman. It's insane. Like, especially when you're on that tour, and you'll see that dude. I mean, this guy is a fucking billionaire. He's the founder of Warped.
Right?
I think he had a hand in Mayhem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he founded Warped Tour. He's the man, the myth, the legend behind it all. But you'll still see the guy, riding his beach cruiser behind stages, like with a 40-pound bag of ice over his shoulder, trying to get it to someone that needs ice, or like he's got like a plate, a merch bin lid full of food that he's like helping out a band by went and got them dinner, and now he's bringing it, or like production people. Like the guy is, he still got his hands dirty, just as much as anybody else on that tour, and he's the one that. He literally didn't even have to do that. He could just be sitting on his air-conditioned bus all day, just sitting there counting all his money. But apparently he didn't have much to count for himself. That's obviously
he said he lost
like
a profit, right? Every year was there. He didn't make a profit.
Yeah, for like the last like almost 10 years or so, he like wasn't really making that much money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was just doing it. He was doing it for the love of the game. And, it was the one thing that, there was crew members and stuff in that tour that like their year was based off what they made on that. Like they would make their money on Warped Tour, and that's how they lived until next Warped Tour. And it's it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty nuts. It's also, that's what you kind of want with a boss. Cause I remember like what was it? The one job I worked at the grocery store, we like had one boss who like kept helping us out, like the manager. And then like the next manager just like sat upstairs in the air conditioner. It was like, what the fuck, man? We're falling apart down here. It's like, you guys got it, man. Just keep going. It's just like, oh, man. It's kind of nice to see, like, especially if he's like a fucking millionaire. Like, is he shirtless, just like running across the goddamn area with food in his hands? Like, what a dope guy. What a dope guy.
You would see him. There was also people that he paid on the tour that would tow a smoker. And you would see Kevin Lyman out there smoking like 100 pounds of like pork shoulder and like beef ribs for the barbecue at the end of the night. It's
That's
like
so awesome.
Yeah. He's quite a guy, that Kevin Lyman.
Oh man. Yeah, I was hoping there was rumors that Mayhem was coming back this year, and I was kind of hoping.
Yeah, it was supposed to come back this summer. Although this summer was so stacked at touring. Like, I feel like every band with, like, Deftones, Gojira, Slipknot, Megadeth, Lamb of God, Trivium, like, that's just naming 2 tours almost. Like, just so many bands were coming through this summer. It'd be crazy. What
we had
I'm gonna have.
we had some really good plans too. We'd be about a week into it right now if it was happening.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, that whole plan, it's everything that's in place for it, like the bands we were taking, the idea of the tour, everything for it is gonna happen, but that'll be our first tour back whenever touring can happen again.
Yeah, so Machine Head had to cancel their rescheduled dates in October. I think it's in Europe. They because it was funny when they announced they rescheduled it for October. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we'll be fine." And then with Ralph Flynn, he's always talking about how he doesn't actually see shows or touring coming back till 2022. He's like, "That's the next time it'll become normal." So
I mean, that's very possible. I hope that's not the case. Obviously, everybody hopes that's not the case. But I mean, honestly, the sooner they can get a goddamn vaccine and everybody can get, figured out and get it to everybody, and then everybody know it's absolutely safe, then that's the only time. I mean, like us personally, we're not going to do some sort of live show. Maybe something if it came to the point where nothing is really going to happen until 2022.
Driving hardcore shows. Yeah, do they join that movement?
Either something like that, or do do like some sort of like an audio tree type performance thing, something like that. But yeah, we probably.
Yeah, it's all right. He sucks anyways. You can go. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just trash. Is he trashing his co-host? Yeah, fuck that guy. It's all right.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, we definitely won't be playing or doing any shows at all until it's until everybody can.
Yeah.
Like we were almost like there was a point that we were gonna do what we wanted to do this summer. We've had it pushed to the fall, which that's obviously not going to happen now either. But there was talks about like, well, then we can switch different cities and stuff like that. And it's like, well, like fuck that. We're not going to play places that we can play and have to skip places that we can't play, because then people, if they really want to see us, are going to come to the places that we can, and they're going to fuck everybody up that we're doing good. And if we had a fucking hand put into like partially be a reason that like we made a rise in cases for somewhere, like, I mean, not just us, any band that would be touring around that time. Like, I personally wouldn't be very comfortable with that, knowing that we had a hand in, shutting everything down again because we were too fucking anxious to
get back
play
out.
a show.
Well, it's also it's kind of the one thing like that heavy bands, especially metal, like hardcore, it's a lot of it is the crowd interaction. It's like, and everything about the crowd interaction is like completely about spreading germs. It's just like shirtless dude that's just sweating for 15 hours, spitting everywhere. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy might be spreading something, possibly. If he wasn't before, he is now. So it's like,
yeah, and then think of like Vincent, like putting the mic out for people to sing. Like a lot of times he'll grab them by the back of the head and like not intentionally, but like the mic gets mushed right into their mouth, like their lips get all over it, and then he puts it right back on his mouth. And it's like when I see some of that stuff, sometimes like I just like almost gag back at my behind the kit. I'm like oh god,
fucking gross.
Yeah, disgusting.
Well, that's I'm kind of interested to see like when this is all over, whatever, my one friend's like, oh, dude, it's going to go back to normal. I'm like, yeah, but you think people are going to like look at germs a little differently? You think handshakes are going to be a thing after all this? Like, I don't know. I think people are going to be bowing. Hi, how are you?
Handshakes will happen as long as you got a little Bath and Body Works, little hand sanitizer guy. But yeah, no, like even like it's funny. I don't know where you guys are from, but I live in upstate New York right now, and there's like all the car dealerships and stuff around here. It's like we've learned how to evolve from the handshake to handshakes and hugs to, I forget what they said. It's like like going like this to somebody
Yeah.
or just like waving. It's like it's the commercials are like pretty silly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like it makes you think like, wow, like people are gonna stop shaking hands. But then you see too, like at the grocery store the other day, I was there and there was this guy that works like the meat area, and like you could tell it was like him like talking to like two other like manager guys that work there, pulls his glove off and they do like a formal handshake, and I'm just like, ugh,
Yeah,
God, what are you
fuck?
doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You were literally like, and like, oh my God, and all the stuff that I see, like all these guidelines that these people are supposed to be following, and they're just constantly breaking them. It's just like, it's like you specifically, you are the type of person that is making this impossible to end.
Yeah.
Like even the asshole that walks around with their nose hanging out of the mask.
Dude.
Like,
yes, I fucking
that's
hate
literally
that.
that's where they test for the fucking virus. They stick a fucking
Yeah.
Q-tip about this long to the back of your throat through your nose. That's where it goes in, man. Like, I mean, it can go into your mouth too, but like you sticking your fucking big nose out of your mask, that's, I mean, air comes out of there also.
And also, where does snot come out of when you sneeze when you're sick? It comes out your face.
Right.
It doesn't just like leak out of your pores. Like it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, you get spit flies out of your mouth, but it's mostly all the snot and the mucus that's flying out of your nose. Like these fucking, especially all these boomers out there that are like, it's my constitutional right to not have to wear a mask. I'm like, motherfucker, what number constitution does it say? In a global pandemic, you do not need to wear a mask. Like,
well, that was the one thing that crushed me was I was like, I don't know what's worse, is someone that refuses to wear a mask or the person that tries, and then just like these little things they do to like they like talk, they're like, oh, I'm wearing it, but then they like walk up 2 feet from you and they take their mask off. It's like, no, wait a minute. What, you were doing good. You were on the path. What happened? You you deviated halfway through where I'm like, I almost rather someone be like, dude, I'm making a stance. Like, at least I don't like it. But why the fuck do you like the nose thing? It's more uncomfortable to me to have the metal piece jab into your goddamn nose all day.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And then especially if you have one of those like the blue fabric ones, like the little fibers that stick off, like they go up into your nose. Oh God,
yeah, it makes no sense. I almost asked a guy. I was at Lowe's, like getting something. And I just saw like he had a family, and all wearing masks, and then he wasn't wearing a mask. I'm like, I literally went, what the fuck? Like I was just like, I just stopped. I was like, that makes no sense.
You see that a lot though, actually.
You're like, yo, you wear your mask, Janine? All right. And he just takes his off. I'm like, that makes no sense. All right, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, and everybody with the whole mentality, it's like, if you're wearing your mask and it works, then why do you care if I'm not wearing mine? It's like, well,
because it goes through your eyes.
Yeah. Yes. Like, well, asshole, here's the thing. If you're not wearing a mask and you fucking cough or sneeze near me, it could still seep in through the mask, but the chances of it doing that are not, not that great. But yes, it could also fly into my eye. One of your little fucking booger particles can fly right into my goddamn eyeball, and then I got coronavirus and I fucking die, and you're an asshole walking around without a mask on.
Yeah, it's goofy. Yeah. Also, it makes you think about germs too. Like, it makes you think about germs too. Like, I forgot what someone had a video of, like the lifespan of a germ from your mouth, like going through the air, and I was like Jesus Christ. That's why I'm kind of curious. Like everyone, public forgets a lot of horrible things when they happen, months or years down the road. But I am super curious I'm assuming it's going to go back to relative normal unless nothing else happens. But I'm assuming handshakes might go away. I'm hoping to. I don't mind a handshake, but there's some motherfuckers you see them itch their nose and then they're like, I'm like, dude, come on. Like,
or the sweaty handshake when they're like really sweaty.
Yeah, we have a friend who's got clammy palms. That asshole. He just sweats he's the skinniest guy you've ever known, but for some reason he only sweats out of his hands. Palms. Like he doesn't sweat. He works all day. No, nothing. He's wiping his hands. Like it's just wet all the time.
That is one anxious person right there.
It must be. Yeah,
they got something to hide.
It was
he's worried about something.
He was the worst guy to play games with, dude. Pass the control off, no problem, dude, and it would just fall out of my hand. I'm like,
just taking the controller after him. You're like, I don't want to touch this.
You see the condensation start going away as he's handing it to you because it's just fucking sweating.
It's just stained. It's just like this is a white controller. Why is there like skin marks? Like where it's like it's darker. It's gross.
Well, this is actually a good way to segue into a segment we like to call the 3 random silly questions. You ready to take part in this?
All right. Get silly.
Yeah. Let's get silly here, guys. Let's go.
Question number 1: best tour prank you've been a part of or witnessed while on tour?
All right, best tour prank we ever been a part of. It was our doing. This was the Welcome to Hell tour with Whitechapel and Chelsea Grin and Impending Doom. It was the last night of the tour. We even had their sound guy and their light guy in on it. When Chelsea Grin was playing, I don't know the name of the song, but they had a breakdown where it's like all the music stops except like there's like 2 cymbal hits in between like chug parts. So, and there was a bunch of people on stage also. I was standing behind the soundboard for this so I could take a video. But during that part, it was like dun 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 dun, and then like during like the 2 fucking hits, Gino, the sound guy, muted the front of house. The light guy took all of the whites and the brights and turned everything up as bright as he could, and everyone on stage hit all their tuner pedals. So there was literally no noise that came out when they went to come kick back in. No noise anywhere. And they all just immediately like looked like, what the fuck? And I remember Jack, our old bass player, was like, he said he remembers like standing there like looking at one of them, and when he went to go do it, he was just like, sorry, and just hit the tuner pedal. And then that was probably the best tour prank that I've been a part of.
Oh man, that's rough. I'm pretty sure I know that song. It's Recreant. The whole that's like the whole build up to that song. That is fucking unbelievable. That's awesome.
That was great.
Yeah, I know. There's video of that somewhere. I think I forget if I had it like on social media.
Yeah.
But it was that was pretty funny that the fact that we were able to get their crew members in on it too, which was pretty good. And we waited till the last day of tour.
Yeah. It's probably one of the nicer ones we heard. We got like a dead possum on a windshield. I've gotten they left like dead fish and shit in the car. Like, and
see that kind of shit. I think that kind of shit's too far.
Yeah, also, just like, do you know them well enough to like that you want a fist fight won't happen after? Like I heard that one, I was like, wow, I'd be surprised if I did that. I didn't get immediately a flying head kick thrown at me. Just like,
oh yeah, I mean, if anybody left a dead animal in our vehicle, they wouldn't be on. They wouldn't be on the tour because we kicked them off. They just wouldn't be able to.
Jeez, yeah, exactly. That's like I'd be like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I think, hey, maybe a fart package from Morning Glory, like a hilarious little pranky prank. It's like, nah, dead animal, pregnant. It's hilarious. It's like, fuck it, all right.
No.
Gross.
Nope. Yeah, you gotta gauge people when it comes to pranks like that. You can't just be like,
oh, dude.
Nope. I mean, we could take a simple little prank very well. We're jokey guys. We're silly boys. But like, no, like dead animal stuff like that, or like permanent, like, you know, I mean, dude, if you throw a fucking dead fish under someone's van and you can't find it for a week,
that's ruining like probably even the whole tour, honestly.
Yeah,
even under the seat, so you could, even if you looked under, it was in the cushion, like under it. That's awful.
Yeah, even when you get that thing out of there, that smell's never going away.
Oh, it's the juices and so gross.
Yeah, you'd probably have to buy like new seats and get it like professionally detailed, which is like something you can do on tour, right? Hey, we'll be at the next day. Why? We're going to get professionally detailed.
Yeah, we have to get a dead fish removed and our van sanitized. Fucks.
Yeah, that's brutal. Well, there's a PSA, everybody. If you were touring with the Acacia strains, like, you know what?
Don't do that.
We're going to get these guys. We're putting a dead deer in there. They'll find it all right really quick. It's huge.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2.
We'll take pranks, just no dead animals, please.
Question number 2. What band deserves their own candy bar, and what would it be called?
Oh, my God. What band deserves their own candy bar, and what would it be called? Oh, my God. Man, this is a hard one, dude.
SAT question, dare I say?
Yeah. It's like this answer is gonna get me into Harvard or Yale or something.
The one that
which one of you thought of this?
I did.
This is your question?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
kudos to you.
Because I thought of I was actually listening to Every Time I Die, and I thought of Every Time I Crunch. I know it's not good.
Fucking
first thing that came to my mind. I was like, wow.
Okay, so you're saying like an existing candy bar?
No, it's just what I came up with, you know.
Yeah, he's just bad at puns.
Yeah, I'm not good.
That's where this question came from.
See, I don't know why the band that keeps coming to my mind is, I'd say Hatebreed deserves their own candy bar, but I can't imagine what kind of candy bar it would be.
Well, if we're gonna
Hate
follow
bar.
him,
It
we
would
just
have-
hate crunch, I guess. Just follow the same.
I'd say-
Hate
boring.
bar.
I was gonna say, or you can get like, it'd be like a Hatebreed candy bar, and it's like this super, like, when you get like a Charleston chew or like a toffee bar that's like
Yeah.
really old, and you go to bite into it, and it damn near shatters your teeth. It would have to be, it'd be the Hatebreed bar you find like 10 years later at the back of like the candy store. It's got dust all over it, and you're like, oh yeah, Hatebreed bar, I remember these. And you go to bite into it, and then your mouth
dentist.
explodes.
Huh.
Yeah.
You could use it to eat it or fight off a robber. It's that goddamn hard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can eat it and enjoy it, or you can shape it into a knife and stab somebody if you had to protect yourself, or like you said, you can throw it, you can defend yourself from a robber, whatever you need.
That's all I heard was straight to your face with the crunch. With
Oh man, we can go on forever about these now. I feel like
I think honestly it's not creative at all, and I don't know if they deserve it, but it's kind of just in their name, Limp Bizkit, like literally just a biscuit candy. It's just like the simplest shit. It's like, what's your candy bar called? Limp Bizkit, I guess.
They made their own hot dog water.
Yeah, they came it's like a, let's say like a it's like a lady finger covered in chocolate, so it's like kind of, it's not like it's soft already.
Yeah,
and it comes like kind of pre-mushy, so like a Limp Bizkit.
Actually, all those sound awful now. Hey, do you give me some hot? Honestly, if they ever made that product, that'd be brilliant. Hey, can you give me some hot dog water? Fucking ew! Even if it didn't taste like it, I just want to drink some hot dog water.
That's.
So
you
gross.
Just gave me a little gag there.
Yeah, present from me to you.
I just had to swallow really hard right there.
Jesse, you want to take this third one?
Honestly, I like this. This is also a question you can. If McDonald's had an angry meal, what would it be? What would consist of the angry meal?
Oh man. Okay. The angry meal, it would be some like 3,000 calorie insanity meal.
Jesse's diet.
No, I'm very healthy.
What do you get? You make sure you get lettuce on your burgers?
No, I take it off immediately. No. My thing is, iceberg lettuce has no nutrients. It's not like spinach, so why eat it? It's just take it off. Just like lie to myself.
I always think that's so many like funny mentality for people to have. It's like, well, why don't you get a salad? Well, there's no nutritional value in lettuce. I'm like, well, you're still gonna fill yourself up, and you're also not gonna be shoving like 1,800 calories in your stomach, and you're not gonna eat your daily value in one meal. All right, so an angry meal would be, I feel like it'd be some insane like 3,000 calorie meal that came with like a double McRib and like but it would all be like this one huge stupid sandwich. So it would
just be combined.
Yeah, it'd be like McRib with like so all right, so you take 2 McRib sandwiches, but you get like the bun itself is gonna be like this big. So it's gonna be like two. So it'll be like extra wide bun, 2 McRibs, stack that with a 6-piece chicken nugget on top of that. Like 2 quarter-pounder patties with cheese, all cheese in between. All right, cheese in between everything. See what else? What else does McDonald's like? McDonald's never did like a spicy thing, did they?
Just a sandwich, I think. They never did like nuggets or anything.
Yeah,
it was for a short time.
Yeah, McDonald's never done anything spicy. That's fucking bullshit, if you ask me.
It is true. It's kind of weird. McDonald's, if you're listening for some reason, before the angry meal, make the spicy nuggets, then move on to the angry meal idea.
It's like they don't want to compete with Wendy's.
Yeah, like Ron, get your shit together, all right?
Ronald, where you at?
I mean, I'm actually getting hungry now hearing this burger.
I think it would have to be like something just fucking ridiculous, where it's like you take a little bit of everything off their menu that's good, and then just make one big stupid sandwich out of it. And then get like a bucket of French fries. Like not even like they're large. Like you just get a bag full of French fries.
Oh my god,
Along
Five Guys style. Yeah, just Five Guys style McDonald's. Like, oh my god.
I'm
not gonna lie.
Something stupid.
I think my blood sugar spiked and crashed while you're just describing this. I'm like, oh my god, I can't even imagine if someone had a gunpoint to eat this fucking burger. I'm like, it's gonna be awful. Do I really have to? This is gonna be really bad.
Waking up for a couple days.
And then top it off, since Irish people are typically angry as it is, you would have to have a Shamrock Shake.
Oh yeah,
for your drink.
I always hear how good they are, and I never had it.
Honestly,
they're all right.
McDonald's shakes are like because you can taste like that fake bullshit ice cream flavoring like in their shakes.
Yeah, the milkshake mix where they just go beesh beesh. It's like there's your milkshake, dude. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and but the machine's fucking broken all the time somehow.
Yeah, that is goofy. Let's fix that.
But the Shamrock Shake whenever it comes back, I highly suggest you go ahead and try yourself one. They are pretty good, but just get a small because
won't be able to function after.
Oh god, yeah. Make sure you're sitting somewhere. Your blood sugar is you'll just be seeping out of you. So.
Just get weaker as you walk to the car. Like, don't just sip it. You just like you leave McDonald's walking. You get to your car crawling. You're just like, fuck.
Yeah. There's a disclaimer on it, like, do not drink any on your way home. May crash. May fall into diabetic coma.
Do not operate any heavy machinery. I think that makes sense why they tape the top, like alcohol, like drive-through alcohol in like Arizona. Just was like, yeah, tape the top. Don't drink it on your way home. It's dangerous. Wait till you get home.
Right.
It's like, which also that's weird. Never heard. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
That sounds. Yeah, it sounds like I don't know why. Is it called an angry meal because your whole family would be angry after loved one dies immediately upon finishing that meal?
I feel like it would be. Yeah, I guess it's an angry meal because. Yeah, I think it's just stupid.
It's the angriest thing. It's brutal. It's like, that's what it is.
Yeah. It's just an angry. Yeah, I don't even know what would really make it angry.
You know, it sounds like. It sounds like that thing like you'd win a McDonald's T-shirt for eating. Just like, hey, you want to eat this? It doesn't taste good, but you're gonna fucking be in some pain. Let's see if you can do it, big guy. Just get in there.
You're gonna be pissed after you eat this, but.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's like, and then they don't have all they have are small T-shirts.
Yeah,
left.
Well, you should go on a diet. I just ate 45,000 calories in a row.
Yeah, I just ate my week's worth of value in one meal, man. What the hell?
I got instant diabetes. Like, can you help me out at large at least?
Well, before we let you go, is there any upcoming plans you want to tell your fans, or anything we should look out for at Casey Strain, like live stream shows? Anything like that?
I'm gonna definitely no live stream anything as of yet. Nothing. Plans that we do have are all on hold until the world can go back to normal. And with that being said, if you want to see your favorite bands play, everybody, if you want to go to shows again and not have to worry about getting sick or getting venues shut down or people blacklisted from doing shows, do yourself a favor and listen to what's going on. Follow guidelines, wear a fucking mask. If some dipshit in your town or your city is going to put a show on, don't go. Find out who that person is. Don't let them book shows again because they're just an asshole and they don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. Yeah. And they're feeding into making this all worse. So if you want shows again, you want to see your favorite bands, do the right thing and stay home as much as you can. Don't go anywhere if you don't have to. Wear your fucking mask and wash your goddamn hands. That's basically it.
That's it.
I like it. I'll co-sign. Hey, Kevin from Acacia Strain, some fat kid with a David Goggins shirt just said wear a fucking mask.
We'll post this clip on all the social media.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great. But awesome. Thank you, man. Yeah, this was a pleasure, Kevin. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
It was awesome. Nice talking to you, and I hope you have a great day, dude.
Yeah,
anytime. There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now that I was just in a mood today, and I was like dreading that I had to do this. But thank you guys. This definitely brought me up for today. It was, a pleasure.
Hey, we try to talk to people we like and also make them not hate us completely, because we also know getting questions thrown at you nonstop is not always the best way to spend your Wednesday.
Right? No. We just had a good conversation. It didn't even feel like I mean, there was questions, but we just had a nice little chat. It was good. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
There we go. Hey, Kevin, be safe. Have a great day, dude.
Yeah,
have a good one, man.
See?
Later, guys.
And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience podcast. Your host, Chris. My boy Jesse over there looking all angry and shit. That's a nice little twirled up mustache.
Yeah, a lot happened in between the podcast, the interview ending and the outro. So,
well, I hope you guys enjoyed that nice little chat with Kevin, the drummer of Acacia Strain. That was pretty awesome. He was a really cool dude. I feel like he was actually able to just sit down and have a conversation with us. He actually mentioned that at the end, and we got that vibe. So I hope you guys enjoyed that because, sometimes we have those kind of interviews. Sometimes we have the more formal ones. So this was one of the more enjoyable ones, and thank you for joining the show, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, you're a great guy.
And if you guys remember, you guys can always catch us on Spotify and Stitcher and iHeartRadio and all that good stuff. So if you ever I don't want to watch these guys on YouTube, I have to actually close the screen on my phone because YouTube won't let you do that unless you buy the premium version. It's on all the podcast platforms, so it's all there for you for your content.
Yeah, it's everywhere you get podcasts, and also
Slow Decay.
Was it the Spotify guy? The Spotify guy also released another statement. He said you can't just make a podcast once every 3 weeks and make a living. So we're trying to come out with a podcast every week. That was a stupid joke. That's stupid. I don't know.
I think it was once every 3 years, not weeks.
Yeah, but you had to make it for podcasts. We released it every week, Chris. Come on now,
bro.
Come on now. Get with it. Some people release 3 podcasts a week, so we're getting there. We're 1 week.
Really? Most I see is 2, if that.
Sometimes Rogan goes nuts. But
he's Rogan, though.
He's the Rogan.
He's Rogan.
Well, technically, there's other podcast guys who have multiple podcasts, and they technically release a ton.
Oh, okay. That's a little different. I mean, sometimes I got to say, for those guys, it's probably a lot easier, most of the bigger ones, because they have a studio behind them that just does it all for them. So their only job is to really just sit there and talk about the topic on hand.
Feel bad for us. All DIY. No, we're DIY. Yeah, it's so stupid. That was a great podcast. It was great talking to him. Like I said in the podcast, I thought I gotta give it a few more listens, but from the few listens I've already given it, Slow Decay to me seems to be possibly their seems to be their strongest record to date, which is interesting because like we said on the Trivium episode, bands who are older usually don't put out their best work later. Not all bands who are old put out bad music, but they don't usually put out their best record. Like Master of Puppets is not Metallica's latest release. Whatever. I'm not gonna fucking go down the rabbit hole.
Are you hating on Hardwire, bro?
No. Some people said it was like their best album. No, but it wasn't as good as any of those albums.
No one's ever said Hardwire was their best album. All right.
I know.
Nobody.
That's right.
Don't even go there.
I was right. Exactly.
Don't even go there.
But it's and a lot of my favorite records from bands I like are some of the older ones. Like I'm not the first album guy. After their first album, they sold out, man. But like Lamb of God to me actually is tough. But between Ashes of the Wake, I don't know. That one actually gets a little tough. But actually, I'm terrible for this. Maybe Chris should talk because I actually like almost all the music. Because Ashes of the Wake is my favorite Lamb of God album.
Yeah, I know. You always talked about that.
But
I was like, you're gonna flip-flop now?
No, but Wrath, Sacrament, and Strum Drang are kind of nuts. Those 3 albums.
You have Ashes of the Wake, right? And then you have Wrath. I'm not even gonna put on the script.
It's just
Wrath is you have Set to Fail, which is a really good song, but
no. Contractor, Set to Fail, Broken Hands, Grace.
Just keep going down the list. Every
Dead
time you say
Seeds
a song,
has possibly their best riff.
No, it doesn't. One of their best riffs?
One of their best riffs. That is top 10 riff.
Nah.
All right. Eat my cheeks, dude.
We'll just do a top 10 riff list right now. Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Pathetic. Wait, what the hell? Oh my God.
Pathetic. Wasted. Soulless. Compromised.
I was about to say that. And I was like, wait, I can't say that. Walk with me in hell. Now you got something to die for. All better. Redneck.
So stupid.
You kidding me? Hourglass.
I was about to say, you're just gonna name all the Sacrament songs.
I mean, I Sacrament for me is really close to Ashes.
Yeah.
That's how close that is for me. And it's funny, when that album came out, it actually didn't get a lot of love at first.
Yeah, because people are stupid, though.
Yeah, but now if you look at it, that's like a monumental release for them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. People are dumb when it comes to that stuff. And most, like, not that you have to like everything from a band. That's just not true. But there is a thing. Like, there is a stigma. It's like bands who early releases are the best releases. A lot of people are like that. And it's just, well, one, it's not true for everyone. And then two, well, every band that's famous has a record that pushed them over the top. Yep. And not many bands break that ceiling again.
And Acacia Strain did that.
I feel like they did. Not that their other records were bad, because I go back, Grave Bloom and freaking all. I don't know all the names. Just like, but like I listened through all of them, and they're all really good. Like, I think like Acacia Strain in that sector of hardcore metal, whatever. I don't know genre names. Sorry, pals. Heavy metalcore, whatever. Some guy yelled at me on. No, they're hardcore death. I don't fucking know. Some people yelled at me on YouTube when I reacted to one of their songs. But I think they're like the hate breed of that genre, in the sense that you get, like, it's not like the same thing, but they're very much a staple. Get what you're paid for when you get a Acacia Strain record. Brutality, like just thickness, aggression, brutal lyrics, crushing drums. Like, you just get everything. And like they changed a little bit, like, especially now that we heard that they have different writers, and not many bands invite the new members in to write. They just kind of sit there and you're like, you're a sack of meat. Go record guitar.
Like, like the Ocean, the band The Ocean, they were known as the Ocean Collective because they had different members and, revolving doors. I was getting that kind of vibe when he was like, well, this person was on this record and this person was on this record. I was like, so you guys are the Acacia Strain Collective.
Well, it's just interesting because usually, like, I haven't really heard many bands inviting people in and actually having them write.
That's true. Yeah, Slipknot always said that. Like, I think Jim said he didn't get to fully write until, like, he was always able to contribute a little bit, but like fully write until All Hope Is Gone.
And sometimes that works, like, because, well, some bands have a very defined sound, they don't want to change it. But then other times it's like, well, what happens if this guy or girl has the sauce that changes your shit up for the better? And it seems like, well, for better or for worse, I don't know if it's chance, they got the right members in, because they let their new members write. They put out consistently changing records, and they're good because you have the two staples there. And then now may or may not have put on their best record, because it just like combine. It's like, like Mastodon's new song. I feel like Mastodon's one of those bands that combines a lot of their older sounds. Like, it feels like the beginning of their the first couple records, like maybe up to Crack the Sky. Dude. It was all like newer styles. It was like they always changed so drastically from album to album. And then they kind of, after that, like The Hunter, Once More Around the Sun, all that stuff, they started combining all of their sounds and still like developing. But like this new song or whatever, this old song, I don't know if it's recorded. It was recorded like 2018.
18 or 19.
Yeah. Like, it combines everything. Like, I heard Leviathan, Blood Mountain. I heard like an Emperor of the Sand type riff.
Those have Scott Kelly on it, so it's a nice throwback.
Well, I mean, just the intro riff sound like Leviathan, Blood Mountain-y. To have their best mosh riff ever, honestly.
At the end?
I was like, wow. I haven't heard a mosh riff from them this heavy.
Since Where Strides the Behemoth?
Probably. Like, I don't know.
That's
like,
usually, when I think of Mastodon's, the best breakdowns they have is Where Strides the Behemoth. Like, that just throws down so hard.
It's brutal.
And when I heard this, it kind of gave me a throwback to that, which is really cool. Although I got to say, now I'm a little disappointed because I think it was Braun, I think it was him. He talked about how this song does not sound like the album.
Yeah, but the album's not. Yeah, well, whatever. It happens.
Dude, I would love if the album sounded like this. You know?
But it's kind of pieces. Like, that's just not who they are anymore. But that's the beauty of the bands like that. And I think Acacia Strain is like that, in the sense that they tried a bunch of different things. And this album seems to be the culmination of everything they've done up to this point.
Slow Decay, get it on Rise Records.
Honestly, and the vinyls look beautiful. I just don't really have the money right now. I would have bought it, but I've been seeing those pictures of people who got every single EP.
Yeah.
A vinyl, and just all the different colors were cool. It was actually super interesting. And now I realized that I didn't ask the question I wanted. I'm going to start writing in the Google sheet, but I wanted to ask him because, a bunch of people have said before, and like pop and rap do the single thing, really.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is kind of a hybrid, or it's on its way to doing the single thing instead of but it's like the best of both worlds. You're able to release singles a little at a time, but then you're also able to get the benefit of the album at the end, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so it's like, because, you know, I saw an interview from with Punk Rock MBA about with I love that guy. But from Our Last Night, they're like the cover band on YouTube. They like do a bunch of covers of like all the songs. They're like metalcore, whatever the hell they are. And they're really cool guys. But they were talking about how they don't really believe in albums anymore because most people's attention spans don't like kind of like what Paul Bearer said.
Yeah.
But like, how many like times have you not listened to an album in full and then like listened to it later and found like the last track or like the couple tracks before the last track? You're like I've done it personally. Like, I'm just not as busy. I'm busy or something. I turn off the album halfway through and I come back to it, and maybe it gets lost in the sauce. You know, like months later, I check it out. I'm like, oh shit, this is like my favorite track off the album. I had this for like a month. He's like, but now because of singles, you listen to it right away. They hear every single song. Every song you release is important, and then you get more traction per song. Where sometimes if you release a 10-track album, 5 tracks get popular and then the other 5 are lost because most people are busy and they don't have time to listen to the full album.
Or when you go to that record, you don't go to that random track. You just go to your favorites.
Exactly. And I think Slow Decay was the perfect combination of both, where you got 2 songs. I forgot if it was every couple weeks or a month, and you got to digest them. And then the next one came out, and then the next one, not only for business revenue stream, if I'm going business here, revenue, you get, what is it, 10 or 15 bucks a month from everybody trying to get the vinyls and the CDs and digital downloads, and or $5, whatever the fuck it was, I forgot. But then you get new music. You're in the back of my head the whole time. Like, every time I would go on like Spotify or Deezer or whatever, and I would see new Acacia Strain, I was like, oh shit, are you kidding me? Like, it's awesome. It's such a smart idea.
Like, if you have like the 2 new songs, let's say, by Acacia Strain, right? You listen to those 2 new songs. You also go back to their older stuff too. Like, I did that with Mastodon. When I heard this new song, Fall on Torches, I was like, oh shit, this is really good. And I'm like, well, now I kind of want to hear Where Strides the Behemoth. You know what I mean? And then you're going back to their old catalog and they're getting more plays by that. And, you know, what's that called? More exposure again. Because if you don't do anything for a while, it is true. Like, sometimes like, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that album. Like, we've done it with new albums that came out this month, right? You know, I mean, not this month, this year. So it happens, but I think this is actually a really cool approach, and if more bands do it, it's going to catch fire.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's also one of those things, like, I don't know, it's good for them that they're one of the first ones to really do this. I haven't seen anyone do this recently in the metal area.
Well, yeah, actually, there was a funny thing I remember from years ago. There's this band that kind of sounded like Gojira. I remember I showed you them, and you just made fun of their name. Hardbanger.
Oh, that is a goofy name.
Yeah. It had that same like Elefante riff from like Gojira, just like every time Chug. Anyway, he was talking I forgot what his name was. I think it was French. And he was talking about the how albums aren't important anymore. He just believes in singles. So he kept dropping singles from the Hardbanger album, let's say, or just whatever. He kept dropping singles like that. And I was like, oh yeah. So like now I'm here, and that was back when we were like at least 10 years now.
Yeah.
So to hear how everyone's moving towards that, I was like, oh, that guy knew the whole time.
Well, it wasn't a thing. There is something to say, like, you know,
was
again.
Spotify big 10 years ago?
I don't remember. But that's the thing. Like,
did we have Spotify in high school?
No. It might have been. I don't think I used it because I know Pandora was there.
It's so crazy how
Pandora was there. I didn't do any of the internet radio really, so I don't really know.
The internet radio.
Yeah, it always pissed me off. I like to listen to what I want to listen to right when I want to listen to it. So I'm not really one to just leave the radio on.
Yeah.
Even though it was fun, like when I drove in my parents' car the one time, they got like satellite radio when they first got it.
Actually, apparently Sirius is free right now during COVID.
Well,
no free ads. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up right now. Jess, do you want to drop your socials for your nice little reaction videos? And you have a Acacia Strain reaction, right?
Yes, but I'm not going to buy. I'm kidding. No, yes. So stupid. I don't know.
The red sticker failed.
My screen, my screen lagged and it messed up my timing. Yeah, I do. I did react to, I think, 2 songs. I think it was China Master, I don't know, it's spelled weird. apparently it was like the god of pain or something. It was crazy. My brother explained to me. I was like, what the fuck? And then and Cross Gates, I think.
I know what you're talking about.
I think it was the one. I only did one of the EPs. I did it when it came out.
Where can they find that, Jess?
You can find it at youtube.com/c/insid1. And then also you got my Twitter and my Instagram, Insid Stream. And then you got my Twitch.
Twitter.
Insid. It's a good time.
And guys, I still do my radio show on Tuesdays. WMSC. That was a joke from last episode, because Jesse said I had no emotion when I said that. So WMSC, guys, check it out. Tuesday nights, 7 to 10. I actually just aired an interview with the Ocean. That's why they're right in my mind. I got to talk to Robin Stops, the guitarist, the founding member. So check out that one, the Ocean. And fun stuff happening your way. If you miss anything, MTB Experience, Mixcloud right there.
Hey, I have a radio show, but who gives a fuck? Anyways, have a good day.
Apparently that was me last week, and I don't remember sounding like that. So
awesome.
Anyway, guys, until next time, keep it real.